Here's a word problem that says the volume of a sandbox, which by the way is a rectangular prism, they told us that as well, is 48 feet cubed. The height is 2 feet. The length is 2 feet more than the width. Find W. So let's draw a picture first. That's usually a good idea, good place to start. So here is my sandbox, something like this. And it says the height is 2 feet, so there's h equals 2. The width and the length we don't know, but let's call this the width over here. This side right there is the width. And let's call this the length right there. And they told us that the length is 2 feet more than the width. So if I add 2 to the width, I'll get the length. And my formula, then, volume, remember, of a prism is going to be the length times the width times the height. So what I want to do is I want to rewrite this problem with the values that I know, which are the volume, which is 48 feet cubed. The length I don't know, but I'm going to write it in terms of the width. You'll see why in a second. The width I also don't know, and the height I do know, which is 2. So I'm going to write, I've got here, I'll rewrite this. This is 2w times w plus 2 equals 48, and I can now distribute the 2w in. I'll get 2w squared plus 4w minus 48 equals 0. The reason I did that is because I wanted to set this equation equal to 0. Notice that I have a quadratic equation. Whenever I have a quadratic equation, actually what I could have done at the very beginning is just divided out that 2. In fact, I'll do that. It makes your problem easier. As I always say, simplify before you complicate. So before I'm going to complicate this problem, I'm going to divide both sides by 2, and I'll get 24 right there. I don't have to divide these things by 2 because this entire thing is being multiplied together. I've got 2 times w times quantity w plus 2. So I divide both sides by 2 and I get that answer. Now when I distribute in, I'm going to get, and notice I'm setting it equal to 0. I'm moving the 24 over to the other side. I'll get w squared plus 2w minus 24. Now I could either use the quadratic formula, or I could complete the square, or I could factor this if it factors, and that's the easiest way to solve a quadratic equation. If it can be done, factoring is usually the easiest way to do it. So negative 24 is going to be negative 4 and positive 6. Let's just check. I'm doing the guess and check method. That's negative 4w plus 6w, which equals positive 2w. That works. And then the first was w times w, which is w squared. The last is negative 4 times positive 6, which is negative 24. So that does check out. So I am going to now use the zero product property, which says if I have a product that equals 0, one of the two factors has to equal 0, or rather set either factor equal to 0 and solve it, and you'll get the solutions. So I've got w equals 4 or w equals negative 6. Always check those answers by plugging them back into the original. Plug in negative 6 for w there, and you'll get that to work. Plug in positive 4 for w there, you'll get that to work as well. Notice that this is not a realistic solution. I can't have a negative width, so my width is just 4 feet. Don't forget the units. There's my answer.